Here. Yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Tony Peirick, and I want to thank Kristen for leading to me, and that I can give you a little history of myself. For a third generation or second generation on our farm. I started out as I farmed with my brother, and we got our sons involved. And we've got 1,100 acres, we're a 200 cow dairy. We did conservation. We started no-till in the 90s. And before that, as I was growing up, I moldboard plowed. I was 10, 12 years old. And a lot of this, we weren't taught years ago, the soil practices to conserve our fertilizer in our soil. And the story was, I loved plowing, I loved working land up as a kid. And you always had to get it worked up real fine, moldboard plow it, get it loose, and work it 3 times and then plan. And then, excuse me, and a lot of times, driving around the neighborhood with your dad, over winter, if the farmers didn't have their land black and no residual, plants on top, you weren't a good farmer. You're a good farmer if you had everything black. And just to look at that, remember that to this day, we were taught wrong. Farmers were never taught the correct way of farming. We farmed the way we thought we should, and other ones influenced us to do the heavy tillage, and which led up to now is our no-till and everything. So, and that came across in 92. We started no-tilling. We have a private crop consultant that advises us, and we started doing some no-till, and I said, it ain't gonna work. Well, it does work if you take your time to make sure this seed gets in the ground, because you're used to having nice soft soil, and the soil, when being real easy soft, will go real easy to plant. When you get into no-till, you got to make sure you get in the ground a little deeper. And a lot of the problems with no-till those years was you weren't getting it deep enough in the ground. The seed would germinate and it would dry up. Excuse me. Then you wouldn't have enough moisture to continue the growth of the plants. So we started that, and then we got in a conservation program that Kristen talks about, those two, that you start having watersheds, and you got to put some covers on your land. And then, I didn't understand why we're putting covers on land over winter, not have it all black. Well, in the early 2000s, then we started experimenting, planting into that cover and not doing any more tillage, and it worked out real good. So that kind of went from there and got us going. So back in 2015, I'll give you the history on how we started this group. The lake associations were wanting to pose more restrictions on the farmers, which I don't blame them. We're having phosphorus problems and everything. And county board said we couldn't put the restrictions in unless we, research it more. So I was one of the farmers involved with that group to start the initial group. So we met for a year, and there was 5 farmers, DNR, Lake Association people, Fish and Wildlife, and we sat down and discussed the problems. And it was always a lot of finger pointing. Everybody wants to point the finger at it's your problem, not our problem. And I did see, excuse me, get more cold, but up in Pentwell, we'd be with Wisconsin Rapids up there in Wisconsin. They had an event going on up there, and I went up there that time with one of the Lake Association people, and took her along. She was one of the instigators of our problem, and we went through the whole program to kind of explain what farmers can do to help the Lake Association and keep the phosphorus out of their lake. So when I came back, I wanted to start a group up, and we put a meeting together, got the farmers together, and we discussed what we're going to try to do, conservation practices, no-till, and keep the phosphorus and your soil on your land and not run into the lake. And with that, we got Dodge County Farmers, Healthy Soil, Healthy Water. Move it forward, up or down. Okay. So with our farmer-led groups, as Kristen said, DADCAP came with a program in 2015, Kristen, or it was quite early. They had like 250,000 to give to farmers to start groups up. So in 2015, there was only a few groups going, and we were able to get some of the funding for it to get us started. And at that time in 2017, when I started our group, there was less than, it was a little over half a dozen groups that were started. And as of today, we got almost 50, around 50 groups right now across Wisconsin that are actively farm-related groups that are meeting together and working with each other and trying to get new practices in place. And they call it the Producer-Led Watershed Protection Program. And it's been continuing to grow. We maxed out now, we're at over $1 million, and Governor Evers just gave us another 250,000, so it'll be 1.25. So it does help us out. It's a maximum of $40,000 a year that each group can get, and they kind of prorate it for all of us. But as you see, we're pretty well protecting all the watersheds in the state, and every year we have an annual conference that we always got to go to and hopefully report to the state and the DADCAP about what we accomplished and what we're doing. Let's see. Okay, the goals of our groups are, first, we educate with conservation, and we promote soil health practices by putting covers on. And see the covers there, and I educate the farmers again, bring in some equipment, show them what we can do as far as the no-till and reduce our tillage, put covers on. And then also we build community around healthier soil and water. One of the things we do, we invite the Lake Association people to come out and see their cover crops, and we work with them, and they got pontoon rides for us. Usually in July, they gotta take the farmers out. We gotta show them what we're doing. So some of the 3 practices you got to do. Excuse me. And okay, we'll talk about educating farmers on conservation. Okay, a lot of our groups, we always hold our whole farmer meeting. We'll be doing a planning clinic in April 9th in our group. And a lot of the groups do. We got Racine County here. They're a really good group that does too. Put some major events on so the farmers can come, and you can talk to them, and you can show them, and they can share their ideas on what they're going to do for the spring planting and that. And we have another one. We have our annual conference, which turns out a lot of people. And that you get a national speaker in or somebody to talk about what's happening, what you can do. And we do have classroom educational opportunities, which is probably pretty important to get the first graders educated. In Dodge County, we have there's a school, which is agricultural school, strictly grade school. It's all agricultural. We go there every year and we talk to them about soil practices and soil health. And the first graders and second graders will ask better questions than a lot of the 7th and 8th graders. So a lot of times you got to get to the grade schools, you got to get to the first grade for the younger generation to teach them that what's going to happen out there. So, and then we have summer field days, pasture walks, and just getting information out to the farmers. And a lot of times the farmers are always curious what somebody else is doing, and they don't want to change their way of farming. So a lot of the stuff is always really good for them. And then we have pop-up events, which is just all of a sudden you're going to have somebody come, well, why don't we come to our farm tomorrow or the next day and have show them what you're doing. Show them your crop, or show what your cover crops you're putting in. Excuse me. And then the educational side, like I was talking about, this is one of the days we invite the Lake Association people out. These are our cover crops that were planted. And a lot of times they don't understand what cover crops are. And we educate them and show them the list of covers we got. Different varieties we do. Here we're trying to get by a lake, the Lake Sinsinawa, have different covers planted, as you can see, and have them come out and explain to them what the covers are doing to help reduce the phosphorus and nitrogen that can leak off into your lakes. So, and also we try to get schools out there in any, municipalities or anybody that's interested in it, and show them what's actually doing out there. And promote the soil health practices. We have the grazing cows and the covers. And we try to mentor other farmers, help them out with their practices, what they do. And we give them incentive programs. There's a lot of incentive programs out there, like Kristen talked about. There's some monetary money that we can help them get the covers on and get the practices in place. And again, this is the building community around soil health and water quality. Again, it's some of the meetings we had with this is actually one of the pictures of the first meeting we had with the Lake Association people and the farmers, and another meeting with them. And then also here's our pontoon rides. It's everybody kind of laughs about them, but being a farmer, I'm not a professional speaker, as you can tell. I'm just a farmer that got involved with this and got our group going. I'm a good organizer. I like to organize stuff. I helped a lot of groups get started in the state. And I was never on a lake much. Growing up as a farmer, I never was on a pontoon until about 10 years ago. So we get the farmers out there, and the lake people got to show us what they're doing on their shoreline. It's just not, and I brought it up too to them that, farmers, sure, we're contributing to your problem, but the lake association or lake owners need to take care of their shorelines and not have grass going up to the water, and actually have some kind of a rainwater gardens and stuff. So that pontoon ride makes a big difference every year. They have some beer and pizza for us. The farmers come and see what they do. And then return, like I say, in the fall, they've got to come out and see our cover crop showcase, we call it. Just got a lot of covers out there to show them what exactly, the covers look like and why we're doing them. So. Okay, protect the soils can help protect water resources. So nutrient management, and only with fertilizers we need to apply. We're trying to, really do that. Educate the farmers on how to apply more fertilizer, and they really do need to. Water infiltration that occurs and less water runs off more into the soil, helps the water resources. Buffers, we've been using some buffer strips now, and they can, create areas to catch and filter runoff. And shoreline conservation, lake properties owners can learn how to limit their impact by mimicking farmland conservation. So it's a two-way street. There's a lot of learning to go out there, and Wisconsin is leading the way on all this as far as our farmer-led groups and what's happening on our landscape. So our impact for just Dodge County, we reduce CO2 equivalents, greenhouse gas emissions by 9,673 metric tons. This equals the greenhouse emissions from about 2,302 cars driven for a year. Our soil health, farmers have reduced sediment losses by 74,316 tons, equivalent to 7,431 dump trucks worth of soil. That's just our Dodge County so far. And then the water quality, reduced phosphorus. Phosphorus runoff was reduced by 65,241 pounds of phosphorus, potentially preventing 32.6 million pounds of algae growth in your local water bodies. So this is just one group of our group. So if you imagine, we got almost 50 groups out there, what we can do as far as that. I'm really appreciative. I like to hear that today, that you're really concerned. And I think we're seeing the improvement because now we realize what we can do to, to prevent it. Years back, nobody cared. Nobody wanted to know. Well, we're just putting our waste out. It's going to dissipate. So now we're starting. That's why we're seeing that improvement that you saw in some of your slides. We are going to see improvement because we're going to start, get ahead of the problem, not sit there and get behind the problem. And a lot of the stuff with statistics, our group is comprised of 66 farmers so far. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have a board of directors, which I'm the chairman of. And 66 farmers are working with us right now. We work on different conservation practices, cover crops in our county alone.
We got 17,680 acres, and nutrient management plans is under around 28,253 acres. And then reducing tillage and planting green is around 22,000 acres. So that's, reducing, we're getting a lot of less runoff, and we're improving the soil quite a bit. So it's been quite a change in my farming operation, that to go from tillage to no-till to planting green, but it does work. And we just had another event a couple days ago. The Racine group was up too. We had an educational 2-day event educating farmers on practices you can do to reduce your input costs and also save money and grow healthier crops and get them away from chemicals. So another project I'm chairman of. Well, does anybody know where this is? Yep, the Jamaican Sisters of Sinsinawa. That's the massive structure. In their heyday, they had 2,000 women going to school on site. And since I'm involved, I do a lot of speaking to different groups in that. Even though I'm not a good speaker, they always seem to want me to come in. I tell the truth and tell like it is. I was invited down there to do a conference for some farmers 2.5 years ago. And after the conference, this whole section over here was all built in 1964 as a new addition, and they just didn't, kind of all fell apart. And after we got done with the conference, they said they'd give us this whole building, 5-story dormitory, rotunda, and it's a multi-use church in top, multi-use, and in the bottom is a very large auditorium or a area. And but you'd have to come up with about $1 million a year upkeep. He wouldn't own it. So we had ideas. David Brandt was involved. He's a national speaker. That he thought he could run it. It's almost a 500-acre farm. It's on a mound down there in Sinsinawa, southwest corner of Wisconsin. And they did farm it. They were actively, at that time, with 230 acres, they were actively milking their own cows, growing chicken, and a vineyard, orchard, and everything's just down to going to be completely vacated. They're renovating. This will be by July 19th, they're gonna have a big opening. They're doing renovation, and then they'll have like an open house, and then they're gonna have like a museum in there, so you can see that. But so with that, there's no way we could take over that building. So now we've set up a group of farmers down there, which is Fields of Sinsinawa. And that's our group. And we're gonna treat that as a research. And not really research, but helping farmers, educate them on practices. There's 230 acres of farmland with this farm that they're going to let us control, and we'll be doing, large scale field demonstrations to show it, and we'll hopefully have that as a national hub down there. And some roles. So as of now, they don't know what's going to happen with this site. That if somebody can take it over, we might be able to rent it, but we'll see. But when I got down there, it's just a massive facility, and to see what, the possibilities down there is pretty big. So far, that's our first light of growth. It's located in Sinsinawa Mounds down there. And we're going to use that as a soil health demonstration, and the efforts of the farmers from 5 states hopefully will promote conservational practices across the Midwest. And then hope to be a national-wide resource center in the future. So this is some of the stuff we've done down there so far. We do cattle grazing, multi-species covers, and then our annual event is Soul of the Soil event. So we're going to have them. We got some field day. So this looks like a pretty good project. It is in Wisconsin, but we're going to try to expand it out to other states. Because I did work with Illinois. I started a group up in Illinois, a farmer-led group, and they're trying to get groups going too. So. But it's been interesting. It's a lot to learn from farmers, and this new conservation side, and it's something that's going to have to be done, because we can't continue farming the way we have been, and we gotta implement new practices, have better soil health, reduce our phosphorus and nitrogen. And that we know we can do, so. With that, you got any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Lots of questions on this topic, and I got a call too. And thanks to both you and Kristen. Hearing you guys, provides some hope for the future that we really need right now. So thank you for all your efforts and for sharing the message. I am curious, with your membership, you now have 50 groups. Is there kind of a trend of the type of person that's getting involved in this? Is there an age group, or who is really interested in pursuing cover crops and these types of practices?
Okay, as far as the age group, we're mainly, it's been a little older ones right now. We're trying to promote and get younger generation. They're gonna grasp this easier. But it's been interesting. It's been really growing. A lot of times farmers don't want to change. They look at, I know I farm with my brother, we got our sons involved. And I do most of the cropping. My son and my brother takes care of the dairy side, and then we started doing this with covers, and it looks different out there. And he was at a wedding one night. He came back the next morning, he says, "You gotta stop doing that because the neighbors are all talking about us." He honestly said that to me. It was like 4 years ago. So it's farmers, I don't know, we're a crazy group, but we do look upon, you don't want to do your change, you want to be different. But the more this is grasping now, you're seeing more and more farmers. I've got a few farmers that'll never do it. Well, this year I saw them do some on the back fields. They're trying it. We're making an impact, and it's got to happen. We don't have, some of the speakers say we got 10 years. We got to get our soils turned around, get everything in balance, because our food quality isn't there. So with our program, Kristen works with us. Wisconsin's looked upon as a leader. I get calls from all over. Ohio State's been after me to come out there and help them get some groups going, and the state of Oregon called me, want to know how we're getting the groups going. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm just a farmer that's dedicated. I like to organize. We had a good group at that last meeting we had a couple of days ago. We organized the educational event, and I'm just a good organizer and getting stuff going and helping farmers. And I do all the practices. A lot of people say you're talking them. I said, no, I've done 60-inch corn covers, green, and it does work. We got to get our soil biology back and get the water infiltration here. So then Wisconsin is a leader. We're really looked upon. I talked at Governor Evers came out and met with me, an invitation to him like 2 years ago. And I stressed too to him that get the money to the DAT cap and the farmers, because we'll lead the way on this, and don't come up with more regulations for the farmer. Yes.
Slow down your life at all, the things you've taken on. But the practices you're doing and the groups that are the farmers that are part of it, they're farming their own land, but do you have any farmers who are, owners that own land that are requiring it with leased, with leases on it?
Yeah, no, we're working on that too, the absentee or the farmers or the people that own the land that rents it out. Yeah, no, in Wisconsin, there's not a lot. You get into Illinois, and I've been involved with Illinois, oh my God. There's a lot of that, and we've got to somehow, that's a topic that's really, we got to get them on board. I've got some investors in my Watertown area that he's very on board with it. He requires his land renters to put some covers on. And Illinois is a tough one. I got one group started down there. It's the Southern Illinois Farmers for Soil Health. You can see them on Facebook. And ours is the Dodge County Farmers. Racine's got a Facebook page. Just go on the Facebook pages and watch them. But it's a tough battle in Illinois. This is more of a Southern group down there, and they've got a little more farmers and they're willing to do it. But it's going to be the next challenge. And I think if we can start pulling them in, the people that own the land, and sit down with them. But a lot of times farmers are always taught to have the best yield, the highest yield, no matter what it costs. And we gotta look at profitability, ROI, return on investment. And the trouble is, a lot of these landowners, again, they're looking at the best price they can get for their land. They don't care. They just want the dollar. They gotta start looking at caring for their land and not the money they put in their pocket. Yes.
And then, is there any data that, is the soil health getting better for their yield? Is there like all the natural resource enhancements and benefits aside, which is purely financial? Is there data that suggests that this is the driving incentive for some of those, as just looking at the bottom line?
Well, there is the Fields of Sinsinawa, the group that I'm involved with down there. We're gonna try to put that as a national hub. We're not collecting all this data and putting it into one resource right now, right, Kristen? There's not really a source of pulling it together, is there yet?
Closest is the American Farmland Trust. They have done some studies where they're looking at farms and they're taking their economic data, but it's when they've already done conservation. So they're looking at pre-conservation and post-conservation and then coming out with it. And they are showing that you will get a return on investment. But kind of what I described, what we're doing is different. We're showing what happens each year over 5 years of wild transition. So folks know you most likely you're going to lose money before you make money. So again, to plan for it, but there really isn't a National Institute of Soil Health. They're out of Illinois. I can't quite get the name right.
There's some there.
Something like that, but they've also done economic work too. But there isn't a great one source of data hub for all that.
That's what the Fields of Cincinnati, I'm involved in, the chairman down there. We have hired a project manager, and she's a very good talented lady. She was with No Till Magazine. I've got her hired down there. And we do have a land manager, so that's gonna be our differential from a lot of the farmers. And having this facility, we're gonna have in September 6th and 7th or Friday night, we're gonna have another major event down there. Until you get on that site and see how big it is. And the sisters, they wanna keep that to perpetuity as an educational event. And we've got some major donors. I was down there last week for a board meeting, and they gave me a check that is almost close to $250,000. So we've got a 501c. Yes, go ahead.
Christine, also, are you finding collaboratives or cooperatives of sharing machinery for the farmers in the beginning?
You mean as far as sharing some equipment to help them do those practices? Yeah, there's some out there. It's getting to a point now that farmers know that it's gonna pay, and then they're starting to invest in their own machinery. But 5-10 years ago, there wasn't that, and we were trying to help share and everything. It's a major, we're evolving, but we're moving pretty fast now. And I was glad to see that in the presentation, how we're cleaning up the lakes. That really impressed me, because I know farmers are doing their job, lake people and owners got to do their part, their part too, to get this down, because we can't be over fertilizing your lawns and it runs right into the lake. And farmers are over applying fertilizer because they wanted to sell us fertilizer. And we know we can get by with less fertilizer. But it took a farmer-led group in conservation to come in and teach us that we don't have to apply that.
So one of our county land and water departments was Watertown County. They started buying equipment, a no-till drill, a crimper, an interseeder, some other one, and they do rent it out for really, really low dollars per acre for farmers, especially for those new ones trying to that. And it was really popular at first. I think it's started to go down because, just as Tony said, I think the culture's developing, and I think that's what we're really trying to get at. It's a culture of conservation in agriculture. And so, but it is there, but they had to do it through in our area at least, through the land and water conservation department.
Yeah.
Just a follow up, I heard Dave Brown speak one time in the County in Illinois, and there's a room full like this, and he looks out at all the farmers and he says, "How many of you want higher yields?" And everybody raised their hand. And he goes, "Not me, I want higher profits." Yeah. Which was game changing for a lot of the guys in the room.
It is, and, well, we had that meeting, you know, Mike Seaver, Tony and Brian's are all there. And, they said, well, you know, we wanna talk about these, how can we get higher yields? We had Ray Archuleta and Russell Hedrick. Russell Hedrick won a yield contest, but he's a, you know, type of farmer that does all these practices, but. One of the farmers wanted to get more into how can I get higher yields? Well, we're not, you know, he's not on board. If he's talking about, he wants to get, you know, the highest yield possible. You know, we're looking at ROI and our machinery and our combine should have never had a yield monitor on it. Should have had a monitor showing you how much profit you're making per acre after all your expenses. Some farmers put an awful lot of money out there with fertilizer. See, when I plant our soybeans, I don't use any treated soybean seed. You know, some of our nicotines. Jim Studi here spoke last year too. I do a lot of research and Jim works with us too. You know, I've been planting non-treated soybean seeds for 7-8 years. And yeah, and they say it ain't gonna work. Well, your soil's gotta be biologically active. And a lot of the chemicals are on there because we have dead soil. Our soil is not alive. When you got active live soil, the bacteria is in there, just, you know, and you don't need that stuff. So it's a lot of weaning away from a lot of the stuff that we use that can add $20-30 an acre right away to your cost per acre. So healthy soil will pay for itself. You just got to give it time. We got to educate. And here in Wisconsin, we're lucky we got these farmer-led groups, you know, 50 some groups. Can you imagine that? In less than 10 years. When I started this out, I never thought it'd be that many. So I do a lot of helping and coaching and getting these groups together. DAPCAP gave me a loan that or grant that year. We had 5 people go out and help get more groups going. So, but all the other states are really jealous of Wisconsin. I can tell that right now. Right, Dean? You want to annex into Wisconsin to get these programs? So.
Let me make a caveat, by the way.
Okay.
Soil and water conservation. I got 2.5 employees covering 2 counties. Up here in Wisconsin, they 3 counties that make employees in the county. To do all that work for Tony for the world, and Illinois, help. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't run myself out. I gotta try to farm too. Everybody said I've been all over the place in the last 3 months, but it's been a lot of fun. Actually, I got a call from London, England. I interviewed with London, England, Economist newspaper and publishing company called me. We did an interview. So I asked the lady, how did you get my name and number? And I thought she would pull my leg. And I did a conference. I'm on a lot of Zoom. You can pull me up on YouTube or whatever. I'm all over the place. And I did a conference on the upper Mississippi with Lawrence Sonlaggy and Jerry Hatfield about 3 or 4 years ago in conservation practices to help reduce our load to the Mississippi. So she said she saw it on there. And I said, okay. Then I did the interview with her. So we're not United States wide, I'm worldwide right now. So it's hitting. You know, I'm not doing this for an awards. I will not accept any awards. It's something that I believe in, and we got it going, and farmers are dedicated. Racine County, those guys are really dedicated to it too, so you gotta be proud of them. And this is the research from Jim Studi, excellent person. We're researching, we're doing plots, we're trying to work with farmers to show them the benefits of this. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm doing this for the excitement and the fun. It's been a fun time. You learn a lot, meet a lot of people. Like I say, I'm not a professional speaker. I don't go speak all the time, but I do a lot, but I tell it like it is. So if you want any questions, you can say, we can see us on Facebook. We got a web page, Dodge County Farmers. We got a web page for Fields Sinsinawa. You can pull up, like I say, if you want to see any of my talks I've done, I'm on YouTube for different talks I do with different groups and try to help them out. But I just tell it like it is. So, but I know we got to do it. It's got to happen. So we got to keep moving forward. And I appreciate all you guys, all you people out there that are working with lakes and trying to run rivers, try to, you know, clean them up. It's just a shame that we did it. We should have known this sooner and got ahead of the curve instead of behind the curve. You know, everybody didn't care about the water and thought it's going to last forever. not take care of your rivers and streams, so makes a big difference. If you've got any questions, Jim?
Is the end of the curve on the nitrogen, can you talk about, your on-farm milk research or funded by the milk program? And how that works in your overall programming? And for the group, I bring it up, there's been a lot of talk about phosphorus here today, but phosphorus needs a partner to dance to cause the water quality issue with algal blooms, and that's nitrogen, and Dodge County is at the forefront of on-farm nitrogen research, so could you just outline that a little bit for us, please?
Yeah, no, well, one thing, our farm is a little different. I'm glad we did. We hired a private crop consultant, a private feed consultant, and a private grain marketer. We don't rely on a co-op that you buy the product for and they give you a free consultant. So we got independent consultants. So back in the '90s, it was late '90s. I challenged our crop consultant. I said, "Oh, we got to put more nitrogen on. If we put more nitrogen on, we'll get more corn." And he said, "Nah, let's research this out." So we did a 10-year study on different rates of nitrogen. And we did that. I didn't get paid. Nobody got paid for it at that time. We did it on our own. We put it to the university and they found out that we were over applying nitrogen with different rates. And we went for 10 years, 4 reps in the field, and it was a lot of work. And now NLPP has come up, a program to the state, and we're doing it again and showing the different rates. We're funded, we got some funding to do it, but we're showing what rates you need to use and how much nitrogen you should be using, and not according to what they want you to what they want to sell you. So it's been very instrumental, but again, it's just been lucky. I don't know if lucky, but hired a good crop consultant that helped us. And Jim's out there doing a lot of the research, and we're finding out that the research is going to pay us. Not we're putting too much. We got to reduce. The nitrogen is one of the big keys. And down in Iowa, I spoke down there, and the amount of nitrogen, that one fellow came up to me after I spoke. He said, "Well, if I put covers on, I don't have to." He puts 250 units of nitrogen on right in the fall. And then over winter, he said, in spring, I usually put another 50 because I figure I lost over 50 units over winter. And I said, "Well, aren't you concerned about the 50 units you lost over winter?" He said, "No, we've been doing that for years." So, and he said, "Well, covers could maybe save my nitrogen." I said, "Yeah, but why do you apply it in the winter for? And why you apply that much?" But there's a lot of educated farmers, especially in Iowa, on that. But you imagine, he wasn't even concerned about losing 50 units of nitrogen over winter. And they wonder about the groundwater being contaminated. So I know we gotta get to lunch. If you got any questions, I'm around. And thank you for having me today.